That's why my mic is off. Hold on. I'm talking to myself. You couldn't hear that. It was a big secret. Downloads. Let's see. Go to this. We copy this. And we copy that. And we put it over here. Close that. Get out of here. And then we go into this. No, we don't want to go there. We want to go to sales and assets. And we want to put it in here. We're just going to go paste it. Yeah, just put it right in there. And then we'll open it up. And then we'll take these. And let's see. I know where I'll put them. I just have an idea. Hold on. I'm going to do something we'll always do. Let's see. This would be something along these lines. We got some new fun little toys. Hi, everybody. One second. Let me actually, here you go. Welcome. Nope, that's the wrong thing. Here's you guys. Hey, there you are. Excellent. That'll work. Let's see. Go to sound key. There's a soundboard right there. Play an audio track there. And then I'll do this one. Play audio this one. And then I'll play audio this one. And then I'll play audio this one. And then we'll take this and we'll choose one of our brand new silliness things, which are right. Where is it? Sock draw. The main system is okay. Where's that thing? Hard to say. It's up here. It's a different thing. Still in this guy. Go into here. And where is it? It's very good. Cancel. Where's that guy? Oh, I guess we can drag it over maybe. Put that in there. Does that work? Nope. Boo. All right, where is this? Main D, stills and assets, 621. Okay. I'm opening something up. There it is. 621. Why is it invisible? Okay, I'll deal with it later. Why do I have an invisible folder? What PC? What are you doing? You crazy thingamadodger. Okay, I'll worry about it later. We have the sound bites, I think. So I was gonna put them in there, but just got them, and I'm not gonna be able to load them in. It will work out. It'll be there. Hi. That's what I was doing. Yeah. I have a green glow. I'm sorry, because I'm wearing a green shirt, and it's a mistake. Oh my God. I was watching the Durham thing and trying not to fall asleep because I'm so exhausted. But I've never seen, like, Jim Jordan, he's just angry all the time anyways. But it's amazing to watch him get super friggin' angry at it, like he's yelling at his own witness that they're not giving him the answer that he desperately needs fast enough. Oh, it's so good. Johnny Million was great today. I have no doubt about that because he is greatness. And so welcome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, thumbs up, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be any good at that. Somebody remind me to pitch the show and reset today on the regular because I will not be able to do it. I'm lagging. Luckily, I would say, luckily, today is so full of like joyful dipshittery that it's not even going to take a lot of work. Let's start off with, this is Trump's new ad about Ron DeSantis, and it's called Lockdown Ron, which I guess 15 days to stop the spread, and then 45 days to stop the spread, and then somebody doesn't give a shit about the spread once he loses. Who cares? Yeah, here we go. This is
Governor Ron DeSantis shut down Florida businesses during COVID, drove away tourism, and used a mandate to keep
drove away tourism. Come on down to the Sunshine State and cough on all over our old people. It's not like everybody in our state, they don't call us God's waiting room for nothing.
Floridians from leaving their homes.
Governor Ron DeSantis issues a wide-reaching mandate.
The party's over in Florida.
He wants you to forget, but Floridians remember.
They totally
can't stand another 3 months being shut down.
They weren't. They opened shortly thereafter, I think.
Please, Governor, open us up.
Actually,
yeah, do it. Open it up. Why isn't Florida open? It's not open, okay? It's closed. When? 2023? Motherfucker, I left the oven on.
shut us down.
He shut us down, and I don't believe I don't know why, but they don't let us be doing our thing at all. Hold on.
Made no sense.
We did it for the bars and closed the bars down.
Lockdown Ron. He failed Florida. Don't let him fail America.
Okay. By what? Implementing Trump's plans when Trump doesn't get in? Super exciting. Also, is there a thing? Can I just say, at least show that, like, the cover on this thing? I'll reload the page. Maybe it'll show you this business. Is this whole, like, I filmed it on an old television set effect make it seem more urgent? Like, we didn't have time to get the real footage. Can we just, like, get over yourself? You didn't hack into the closed circuit in his office, asshat. Do you only being locked up? You like being dead? Right. Yeah. Oh, God. All right. Now, and Trump also put out one of his videos. Now, you can't see it from here, and it's a shame. Let me see if I can show you on here. I'll show you in the Discord. Because the picture, it's so Trump. He's got his like angry side bite going on, and you can tell he's just not into these videos. He has to crank these out so the FEC doesn't ask him where he's spending all the campaign cash. So he does these little, like, Insta vids that he shoots at Mar-a-Lago for fucking nothing. And yeah, here you go. Hey, see that? There he is. See the fucking that angry side bite shit? Yeah. Miserable. And it's a different picture, because normally it's that we keep seeing the same opening picture with him in the red tie. I think it's a red tie. Anyways, and he's just kind of this business. Now it can't even be bothered. This is amazing. Okay, here we go. This is Agenda 47, cementing fair and reciprocal trade with the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. Reciprocal Trade Act. Oh my God, what a branding genius. Reciprocal Trade Act. I don't know. Is he hoping it sounds official or some shit? The Reciprocal Trade Act. That's great. It sounds like the perpetual motion energy option plan of 2020 Trump. Here we go. 2 minutes and 50 seconds of fucking magic. Give or take 5 seconds. Or so.
Joe Biden has run up record trade deficits, also known as losses, higher than...
Okay, first of all, why is it so fucking quiet? Why is his audio quiet? Does his entire team think he's that stupid? And they're like, oh, God, turn the audio down. Maybe people just won't listen. I don't know if I can... Is there a way I can jack this shit up? Or do I even care to? That's the problem. Do I want to hear what he has to say? Back this shit up, stupid. Otherwise known as losses. Oh, no. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm gonna try and jack the sound up. I don't know, I think I've got it jammed out as high as I can. Shit. All right, so the audio, nope, that's turned up all the goddamn way. All right, well, this is just what it is.
Joe Biden has run up record trade deficits, also known as losses, higher than any president in history by far. These gaping wounds are costing our country countless jobs and trillions of dollars in wealth.
Yes, if you put me in, even though I fucked up last time, I'll get us trillions and trillions of dollars.
One of my top economic priorities will be to stem this bleeding and put American workers on a level playing field. It's about time. And I must say, I did it 3 years ago, and they were doing great. But that's been blown out the window by the Biden administration.
It's blown out the window. That sounds painful. I'm sorry. You what now?
It's about time. And I must say, I did it 3 years ago, and they were doing great. But that's been blown out the window by the Biden administration. But to that end, I will pass landmark legislation that will be known as the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act.
The TTRA,
In his sock drawer.
All right.
If India, China, or any other country hits us with a 100 or 200% tariff on American-made goods, we will hit them with the same exact tariff.
Oh, tough words. Tough stuff.
In other words, 100% is 100%.
Great. I'm glad. Did somebody write that down?
If they charge us, we charge them.
Great. Yes. It's so everything is a tit for tat trade war, even when they're 100% tax in their currency on a lot of goods wouldn't even fucking register with the American consumer. But go ahead.
An eye for an eye, a tariff for a tariff. Same.
It's like in the Old Testament, and if God asks me to sacrifice Eric, I'll say, "Are you sure you don't want Don?" And then I'll start cutting, unless he interrupts me. And and his only interruption I would listen to is in the voice of Ivanka.
Exact amount. One thing is going to happen. Probably they drop the tariff, but if they don't, that's okay. We'll take in plenty of money.
Or trade will cease to exist because the price of those goods will become intolerably high for anybody who wants to buy them here, whatever these mythical fucking goods are.
Under the Trump
Yeah, it's not like India makes medicine or anything.
Reciprocal Trade Act, other countries will have two choices.
Okay, two choices. Write them down. This is it. You only get two. And I'm going to pass out one of the Trump commemorative coins. Both sides are heads. It doesn't matter. And you flip one of those, and these are one of the choices you get.
They will get rid of their tariffs on us, or they will pay us hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will make an absolute fortune.
Jeez, I don't know why. It's that easy? My God, it's that easy. I don't know why that didn't occur to anybody else before. Maybe because it's fucking lunacy?
There will be no more unilateral economic surrender like we've done for many, many decades.
No, we haven't. We obviously have not. What are you talking about? Even the trade deficit with China, like we buy their goods cheap. That's the difference in wholesale versus retail.
This will especially help our great farmers in Iowa and other.
There you go. Who, for whatever reason, I just went there, I sucked up, I went to their stupid little coffee shops and their fucked up little waffle houses, and still I'm getting like 48%? What the shit?
Other agricultural states, and it'll help our manufacturers all across the nation. We will be knocking down barriers to American farm products, American dairy products, steel, just about everything you can think of.
Trump. That's a good freeze frame. All right.
From all around the world, they take advantage of us, but no more.
Yes, if only we had someone in the White House for 4 years who couldn't try this shit and actually mangle trade so badly that he literally had to ignore COVID to get a trade deal with the Chinese after the tariff war had fucked up everything.
We must have fairness and reciprocity. That's the word.
That's a reciprocity. I want the reciprocity for toast.
Reciprocity. They do it to us, we do it to them.
Yummy.
This will be a key part of our strategy to return jobs and wealth to the United States.
It's a great strategy. We're going to charge countries that have like 1/17 our GDP a 1-to-1 tariff or tax on shit. Especially when it's a good we produce in enormous quantities that they could never fucking catch up to. So this is basically Canada. Like Canada has a fairly decent, dairy market, let's say. They've got, some ranching areas, but it's fucking cold up there. And so they don't produce as much as we do. And if they ever dropped their their trade tariffs on cheese totally, or milk products or whatever, their entire dairy industry would be fucking gone. All the producers of it would just be, there would be no profit in it. There'd be no way for any farmer up there to make a fucking living, because we produce so much of it in fucking Wisconsin that we could the leftover government cheese that we pass out because we make too much of it would leave all their farmers destitute. And then, God forbid, something happens to us, or they actually need to produce their own food at some point, and they have to start from fucking scratch. That's Canada. That's nearby. Now he's talking about like shit little countries that are just ice skating uphill all the goddamn time, trying to sell fucking Brazil nuts and pineapples, and we're like, we sell pineapples from Hawaii. If you try to raise the price of pineapples, even though we produce 100 to every one you produce, we're gonna wipe you the fuck out. You tiny little pissant country.
And launch an economic boom that will.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what would happen. I mean, the boom would be sort of the mother of all bombs of trade dropping on these small countries and decimating their farming. But sure.
To lift up our middle class and eliminate our dependence on China and other countries. And it's
countries. We're already decoupling, fuckhead. This is all going to be done by the time you even, like, by the time he loses the primary.
Something that has been waiting to happen for.
It's just, yeah, it's been sitting there, standing there in its prom dress, waiting to happen for all this time. And finally, my prince has arrived.
For a long time.
A long time.
We have been the whipping post for everyone else. We have been.
Look out.
A country that was disrespected on trade and frankly disrespected on just about everything.
No. That mockery is them laughing at you, fuckhead. You are not the country. And so when people laugh at you or call you a dickhead, or say you're a clown or incapable of understanding anything that doesn't involve blocks, they're not talking about America. As a matter of fact, when they do laugh at us, like, really? Really? America? Really? Where, like, most of the technological advancements we have on the earth, most of the pharmaceuticals we have on the earth, most of the agricultural techniques and renewable technologies, they start in the United States, a vast majority of them. And this is the fuckhead you guys put in charge? Thank you, Therese.
No more.
No more. No more.
Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. Thank you.
You sure you didn't want to call it the Trump Act for Reciprocal Trade? So it just called it the TART Treaty. Yeah, or the Foreign Act for Reciprocal Trade, something like that. Thank you. I've got to say something that is like that. I'm going to put a 200% tax on any place that puts a 200% tax on it. So yeah, because we really need like fucking Darfur to keep us from swamping, their grain market that's this fucking big. we need to stomp on them with a wet foot. All right, part 2. Oh God. Okay, the first part of this was ass, and it was choppy because we caught it live. This is fully laid out, so we're gonna. My mom used to get the government cheese too. We got the powdered kind though in Kentucky. Yeah, powdered cheese, powdered government cheese. Yeah. And powdered milk. That was another big thing. I mean, who in the chat room got powdered milk as a kid? Okay, so Brett Baer, apparently this didn't get better, and I can't imagine it would because Trump gets testy. I'm honestly shocked he didn't walk out, and I think it's largely because it's Fox and he knows he still needs them. So here we go. This is round 2.
Let's talk about the economy. Would your policies roughly be similar to your
Okay, so this is why he released that video.
first term as far as taxes regulation? Yeah, and I do even more
Yeah, sure, yes. What did I do?
taxes. Don't forget.
I do even, what?
Let's talk about the economy. Would your policies roughly be similar to your first term as far as taxes regulation? Yeah, and I do even more taxes. Don't forget.
I do even more taxes. Don't forget. I think he means cut even more taxes, but I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. Sorry. After the idiocy that was in the first one, we're going with this. Trump just said he wants to add more taxes. In his second term, he wants more taxes. He's running on a tax and spend platform. Fuck it.
We took in more money after I gave tax cuts than we did before I did them. People said, how did that happen? I did things, for instance, in the tax bill.
First of all, no.
Foreign big companies like Apple and many others. Apple in particular, because he brought in a lot of money. They were taxed.
He did? Tim Apple? Mr. Apple himself?
To death if they had $5 billion sitting in other countries outside where they made money in other countries like in Europe and Asia. They would take the money and they would leave it there because there was no way of getting it back. I have a clause in there, you're allowed to bring it back at a fairly low tax rate. Everybody brought it back. I mean, trillions of dollars came back into our country all of a sudden. And it was like,
by the way, this is Mitch McConnell's tax plan. This is standard Republican shit. It's not his design. He just signed it. Like, you can tell by how he talks about it. He doesn't understand how it works at all.
like an explosion. Apple took in, I think, $400 billion they brought back. $400 billion. They brought back. They were bringing back the rest. Maybe they've already brought it back. And, you know, it's very interesting with Biden. They haven't been able to hurt the Trump tax cuts because the people won't stand for it. They won't.
They haven't been able to hurt the Trump tax cuts. Well, first of all, the individual tax cuts expired. The corporate tax cut is immaterial because they set that 15% base tax rate for billion-dollar companies. That's how they did it. That's how they replaced the fucking tax break how they put it back, because they basically now can take in taxes from companies that were avoiding it entirely.
Stand for it. But those tax cuts gave us, I think, two things: the tax cuts and the regulation cuts.
And yeah,
I actually think the regulation cuts were more important. You know,
that's because he thinks he had a part of that.
The greatest economy in the history of our country.
No, it's not even true. No. Brett Baer, say something. You've been saying shit all along. It's not true.
I think the regulation cuts were actually more important than the tax.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look at some of the bridges that have fallen down and the train derailments and, you know, the amount of plastics in the environment and microplastics and other. Yeah, I mean, yeah, get rid of those regulations. Nobody's ever been, you know, we won't be happy in America until we have building codes like the Chinese do with their tofu dreg projects.
But I did the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan tax cuts, and the biggest regulation cuts in the history of our country.
And business people will agree with that. They do have concerns that costs something. The U.S. added $8 trillion to the
yeah, that would be it. There you go.
National debt under your administration, about $3.5 trillion before COVID. Much of that time you had a Republican Congress. So if voters are concerned about the debt, why should they believe you'll address the debt in another term?
I love the question because we had to fix a country. When I took this country over, it was broken.
Yeah, it was just fucked up. America, what were you doing with yourself? Huh? You assholes. None of you were working. You're lazy and stupid, and you didn't even have a good riot season in about a decade and a half. What the America, shame on you. Dragging ass until this guy showed up to comb your hair and throw a mint in your mouth.
And we created a machine. And the oil was starting. We were energy independent. We were within 4 months of energy dominance. We were going to be supplying all of the natural gas and oil to Europe, all of it as far as
I'm concerned. Well, the only way you would do that is by eliminating Russia from that market. So you're planning on blowing up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline and sanctioning Russia basically without the Ukraine war? Is that they never would have invaded Ukraine, but all of this shit we would have kicked them out of SWIFT and stopped them from giving gas to Germany, all without even the predicate of the war. Yeah, I would write a note. I would write a note to Putin and let him know that that's the plan.
I was concerned. Remember, I was the one that stopped Putin from building his pipeline. I got it stopped.
No, you didn't. It was still being built.
When Biden came in, he approved it. I said, this guy just approved it. Goes to Germany.
I said, this guy just approved it. He in an attempt to normalize with Russia and calm them the fuck down, he reopened. He said, hey, you guys act right. We'll work with you. We'll mitigate it. And then they were obviously not playing ball. So no. Also, he stopped it in a meaningful way, which is that all insurance companies that have anything to do with the United States, that either contract with the United States or are in the United States, can't insure the pipeline. So if anything happens to it, the Russians got to patch the fucking hole themselves.
Germany and other parts of Europe. I said, this is a disaster, because that means that, remember when I gave Angela the white flag of surrender? She said, what does that mean, Donald? I said, that means you're going to surrender because you are reliant on Russia for your...
Yeah, and they didn't. Isn't that weird? Even as bad as it was, Germany did not surrender. When Russia decided to do this, they hemmed and hawed a little bit. But when push came to shove, they told Russia to go fuck themselves. And they shut the pipeline down. And we moved in and helped them. But they're getting the majority of their natural gas from Norway and from Qatar.
Your energy. So when I did this deal, when I did all of this, what was going to happen with our country, we were rocking and rolling.
We so were. And then COVID fucked up. It was so good. I mean, obviously, we would have needed negative interest rates to fix the debt he had already run up, and that's what he was asking for. And that in many ways triggered the recession we started in February of 2020, before the lockdowns even began to have an impact on the economy. But anyways,
at a level, we close to filled up the national reserves, which Biden let out to keep gasoline prices down for an election, which is supposed to be used for war. It's not supposed to be used for that. But
well, I mean, there is a war going on, and it is affecting the supply. Now, we could, I suppose, bomb and take over Russia and then just force production back up to where it was, but that's insane. So we just act like adults and go, oh, we're going to mitigate the cost of this for the time being and then ramp up production over a slow period so that we don't, so we have some drinkable water, a little.
But I filled up 75 million barrels of oil I bought when oil was
75 million barrels. Not a lot.
It was really cheap. I made a great 70 million barrels of oil when oil was cheap. But here's the
when it was cheap. He could have bought it for free. He could have gotten other countries to pay us to take it off their hands, and he waited till the price went up. He got on a call with Russia and Saudi Arabia to fix oil prices and raise them above zero again, so that the United States taxpayer would have to pay somewhere in the order of $27 a barrel when they were paying people $30 a barrel to take it off their hands.
Thing. We were now set. The infrastructure was there. The oil guys were there.
The infrastructure was there. I didn't realize Infrastructure Week was not a mockery of when he didn't pass an infrastructure bill. It was when we just were doing infrastructure during that time. You guys didn't know that? The never-ending Infrastructure Week?
We were going to make so much money as a country. You look at Saudi Arabia. You look at the wealth that they built.
I see them snatching back their money from the royals and cutting the benefits and trying to shift their economy away from an oil-based economy to renewables and technology and tourism, because they can see they probably have less than 10 years of reserves left, and they're spending money hand over fist, and they got nothing else to offer the world. And once the world gets off of oil, once we get off of petroleum products, at least for consumer vehicles, the worth of Saudi Arabia's influence in the world will drop to below zero, just like the price of oil was when you could have filled the fucking reserve.
We have more oil than they do. I got Anwar approved in Alaska. It's as big or bigger than Saudi Arabia. The first day of the Biden administration, they terminated the deal.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because just exploratory drilling for the fuck of it as like open season doesn't work. There was already an approved project. They'd already done the environmental study. Biden used that as a mitigatory step. He got other stuff in trade for that. That seems reasonable. But just letting them just poke holes all over the Alaskan Wildlife Reserve.
Ronald Reagan tried to do ANWR. He was unsuccessful doing it. Bush tried. Everybody tried to do it, all for years and years, for 60 years. I got it done.
No, you didn't. Because part of you clearing that to happen was why you fucking lost. And the guy that replaced you stopped it. Do you think that registers at all? Like you succeeded in doing something, but that thing was so unpopular that it contributed you not getting a second term.
It was all done. They're getting ready.
It was all done. There were pipes and there were pipelines and there were drillings and Steven Seagal was up there with Michael Caine going, fuck, that thing stinks. And on deadly ground, anybody? No. All right. They were already up there doing it, and then it just vanished. Poof.
Ready to drill.
They were ready to drill. No, they were not.
Biden ended it. Brett, we were going to make so much money. Now
we were going to make so much money collapsing the price of oil to like $12 a barrel and selling it and being like Venezuela. By the way, every description he's making of this process of his, first of all, his belief that it's the nationalization of oil, which it absolutely fucking isn't, and allowing private companies these leases and us getting a pittance in terms of taxes and other stuff compared to the profits made from it. It doesn't fulfill his financial dreams at all. But the way he talks about it is as if he's going to Chavez the oil reserves, nationalize them. The country would we'd just be an oil state like Venezuela or Saudi Arabia right before the collapse.
Everything was said. Then we got the COVID. COVID came in, our gift from China, and we had to do other things.
You believe that?
No, I don't. I believe.
I don't believe it was a gift. You believe that? I don't think it came from China.
That it came in from Wuhan. I said that. If you go back, you'll see I was the one that said it came in from the Wuhan labs from day one. I was told a lot of things like don't close up the country in terms of China. I did, and it was a tremendous. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
No. They weren't telling him not to do it. They were telling him that you can't just take that step. You can't just do that and then pretend it's not here because it's already here. You got to do other shit too. And he's like, I want to shut down the airports and stop all travel from there. Like, you can't do that. First, that won't solve it. You got to do other stuff. That's what he thinks, that them telling him that won't work by itself meant that wasn't part of the process. Because other countries had this conversation. CDC had been talking to other countries that were already closing it. 20 other fucking countries. All the airlines had stopped flying flights. All the main airlines. U.S. Airlines had stopped flying people over from China at that point. And then he still gave it a fucking weekend.
I believe it was incompetence,
Thanks,
actually.
I believe it was incompetence. He's given him the benefit of the doubt because she's top of his game. Nobody can play that guy. If he's right out of central casting. He's as sharp as a tack.
There's two thoughts. They did it.
Okay, here's his two thoughts. Shit, here we go.
China, I did, and it was a tremendous. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. I believe it was incompetence, actually. There's two thoughts. They did it. There's another thought. I was so tough on China, they did it to get me out. But I did better on the election.
You don't believe that part?
I don't believe that. No, I don't. I actually think they were just incompetent.
So
why bring it up? The fuck? Are you just floating this to see if you see a smile cross Brett Baer's face so that you can just go, oh, does that work? Yeah, I thought they totally sent it over. It was on purpose. Why even, and again, if you're some random dickhead being interviewed by somebody on Fox News, who cares? But you're running to be president and you were previously president. So can you at least, because look, I don't think what he says means anything. I don't take anything Trump says seriously. I do not. It's fucking ridiculous. but he should at least act as though somebody does. And that somebody in his head isn't just a lunatic village in Florida follower in a Trump-painted golf cart driving it out into, I'm part of the boat parade, glug. This is a presidential candidate giving an interview. Maybe I'm being too hard on Marianne Williamson.
It is a big part of that spending, COVID. Do you have regrets about how you handled that? Because some of your opponents are...
No, I don't. It was perfect. I did everything right. Those people just had to go.
Now running these loops of where you say you shut down the country.
We had to artificially close our country. We did just the right thing. We closed it down. We understood the disease.
By the way, that's the other reason why he ran his Ron DeSantis lockdown Ron thing.
Closed the country down. We studied it. We learned about it. Some people wish we never closed it down. We did the right thing. Everything we did was right.
And do you have regrets about doing that?
I gave the governors the options. For instance, Henry McMaster of South Carolina, governor, great guy, great governor. He didn't shut it down. Tennessee didn't shut it down. South Dakota didn't
He cut Florida.
shut it down. Georgia shut it down for a little while, but not much. They did a good job. 6 states that didn't shut down. It's a federalist system. I told all governors, you do what you want. You can shut it down or not. Florida, by the way, he shut it down tight. No highways, no...
Yeah, but you are I don't give a fuck what stuff you have to allocate legally to the states, because that's not a part of the leadership question anyways. It's like the same shit when we hear, like, when Republicans are asked about public school and stuff, they always go, we need more parental involvement. Well, what are you going to do? Find parents that aren't significant, involved in their kids' studies? You can't do it. So why the fuck are you even talking about it? Only talk about the shit you could actually implement or do anything about. I don't want to hear any bully pulpit shit. If you can't legislate it, the fuck am I talking to you for? I'll go talk to church leaders or community, organizers or fucking the Rotary Club, for fuck's sake. Why? So if you're just going to, there's stuff that I left up to this, you had to, dickhead. That's how our system works. But there are things under his control, like the fucking airports, like ports in general, that he had access to, and he could federally shut down, and he did.
Beaches, no this.
But then pushed back pretty hard. He opened up. But is it fair to criticize him on that? Sure. He was credited for how Florida dealt with COVID.
Because he has better people than other governors, but other governors...
Look at this weird cutting. He gets credit because he has better PR than other governors.
Didn't shut down. It's a federalist system. I told all governors, you do what you want. You can shut it down or not. Florida, by the way, he shut it down tight. No highways, no beaches, no this.
But then pushed back pretty hard. He opened up. But is it fair to criticize him on that? Sure. He was credited for how Florida dealt with COVID.
Because he has better P than other governors, but other governors did a
better P than other governors. It sounds like it's like he mispronounced PR.
In his sock drawer.
And so they trimmed it for him? Yeah, I don't know. Or it's just shit video?
Better job than Ron DeSanctimonious. So look.
Why do you use that name?
Because I got him elected, and I thought it was very disloyal when he said, yes, I'd run. I got him past 2 races. I got him past the primary because he was losing by 30 points or more.
So
he
it's a loyalty question?
Yeah, it's a loyalty. I'm a big loyalist. Some people say...
I'm a big loyalist. Now, let me ask you again about everyone in your cabinet who you've called a piece of shit. Or said, as soon as somebody gets arrested, you're like, I barely knew the guy. He's probably a Democrat. He only got me coffee.
Some people right here in this room have told me, sir, don't worry about loyalty. Loyalty doesn't mean anything in politics. I said to...
Okay, first of all, no one in that room said that to him.
To me, it does. I got the guy elected. He came...
To me, it does. Because it has to. Because you have to corral people through fear, because they are co-conspirators. They're not cabinet members. They're not business partners. They're co-conspirators. That's why he talks about loyalty like he's a fucking mafioso.
To see me, let's say weeping, because he was dead. He was getting...
Okay, all right. Let's say weeping. This is the whole people... Tears in his eyes, I guess, as he lines up this shot. Former Florida governor about to become the Masters champion.
Loyalty doesn't mean anything in politics. I said, to me it does. I got the guy
it does.
elected. He came to see me. Let's say weeping, because he was dead. He was getting out of the race. He was looking for jobs already, probably at law firms or wherever he's going to look.
Again, this is such a fucking cartoon. I don't even like Ron DeSantis. I don't even know. The weird part is that he, first of all, he thinks it's a slam if a man cries, that it's a sign of weakness because he fears it so much in himself. Secondly, I don't think DeSantis is the kind of guy that cries over this shit. He's got anger problems. He's not going to weep. He's going to rage. That's why he's a terrible choice to lead someplace. He's snippy. Whatever.
He was totally dead. He ran a horrible campaign. He was running against Adam Putnam, the agriculture commissioner, who was running for that position for 8 years. Yeah. Putnam had $38 million bank. Ron had nothing, zero.
Okay. Also, can we just put this on the giant pile of Trump's complete inability to choose the right person for the job? Because understand what this man is telling you. Let me explain what this asshole is telling you. He's saying that Ron DeSantis was a loser with a losing campaign. He's weeping. He was looking for other jobs. He was pathetic. And that said to Trump, this guy's a winner. I'm going to help him win. And everything he's done is terrible. Why'd you help him win then? Why'd you back him? What about him? What was the sales pitch? I'll get in there and I'll do whatever you tell me to do? I still don't understand that. How are you the hashtag the best people? How does he fucking pick the best people, allegedly? And yet here he's explaining to us how Ron DeSantis was a shit choice, a shit candidate, and a shit governor. And he's like, I made him. Fuck, maybe it's your fault.
Putnam was at 40%. Ron was at 3%. It was like a wipeout. The election was going to be very soon. I said, you're dead. If George Washington endorsed you, you're not going to win. He said, sir, if you endorse me, I think I could win. And he fought for me along with Jim Jordan and hundreds of other people, in all fairness. He was fine, but he fought. But I would see him every once in a while fighting on the impeachment hooks. So I didn't know Adam Putnam. So I said, let's give it a shot.
See? That's it. Had nothing to do with whether he'd be good for the people of Florida. Had nothing to do with like any of his plans for the fucking state, the citizens in that state. Nothing. It was just, I don't know, the other guy and this guy came and kissed my ass. And by the way, that's not loyalty. You got used. Trump got used by Ron DeSantis. You believe this story? It basically, the other version of this, the other side of the story is Ron DeSantis showed up, whinged a little bit, said MAGA, 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 and Trump was like, okay, I'll back you, and whatever. I don't know anything about this race, but you kissed my ass, so okay. And he got him elected. DeSantis used Trump and his fucking dough-headed idea of what loyalty is.
I endorsed him, and it was like a bomb went off. As soon as I endorsed him, he won the primary. It was over. He won by a landslide. But then I had him to get him past Gillum, who was a rock star. He was going to be the next president of the United States.
Yeah, no, that wasn't a problem. Gillum had other problems. If it was 1-to-1, DeSantis would have lost.
States. He was the biggest guy in the party. Him and female version, Stacey Abrams, right?
Stacey Abrams wasn't running for governor.
These are the two hottest politicians in the Democrat Party. And Ron said, there's no way I can beat him. I said, you're going to beat him. I did 3 rallies.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
We had big, massive rallies for Ron, 3 of them. I said, you're going to win. He ended up winning. He ended up winning by
so it makes you mad.
Tight race. And
makes you mad.
Then 3 years later, they say to him, then I didn't deal with it. I didn't know him that well. 3 years later.
I didn't know who he was. I just endorsed him. I don't know who. You know what? Endorsements to me are like retweets. They're not. Are not indicative of my actual opinion. Their retweets are not endorsements, but my endorsements are basically retweets.
But I got him elected. But I did that with other people too. But you know what? Just out of respect. So I said, 3 years later, they asked him, "Are you going to run against the president?" He said, "I have no comment." I said, "No comment? No comment means he's going to run." I said, "This guy's going to run." And he was dead as a doornail. He wasn't like, I didn't help him 90%, I helped him 100%. Some I do and some I help. But this guy was...
Some I do and some I help. Barf, barf. God help the ones he does.
Dead politically. And for him to then say, I'm going to run against a guy that got me into office... And I didn't need that because I took a lot of heat. I had a lot of friends that were on the other side of that one. I took big heat on that. It's not that easy to do.
One was a leader, and one let us down.
So
when your PAC is running ads against him, and actually it adds up to more money than you spent supporting GOP candidates in 2022.
Yeah, that's one of the key points I like to point out, if I may. I've always said that, and maggots, I know we've got a couple of them in here. I don't know why you're here. I don't know why you're not at Donald J. Trump right now filling out the donation form or upping your donation. Do you even, MAGA bro? Give this man your money. Give all of your money to this man. Otherwise, you're just flapping. You're just flapping. Do you really care? Now, I know you just heard what we all heard, which was, of course, that your money is not going to go to elect Trump even necessarily. It's going to be spent on his legal fees and to keep his properties afloat. And then, of course, if there is any money that's directed at like the super PAC and stuff, it's not going to elect Republicans, let's say, in the midterm when Trump wasn't even running. It was just he fucking snorted or blow it on airplane parts or something like that. And I got to tell you, that's fine. You know. You buy your ticket, you take your chances.
I supported a lot of candidates.
I know, but your tally so far on the PAC running ads against DeSantis is more than that support. So why do it? I mean, do you see him as the biggest threat?
Well, he's the number 2 right now, yeah. I mean, you know, at some place he could be replaced. The way he's going right now, he's dropping like a rock. He could be number 3, number 4, and you won't ever hear me talking about him again. I like fighting number 2. If you
Yeah, that's true. I like fighting number 2 is a great example. It's mostly that's the biggest struggles of his life. I mean, that's got to be a quote. I like fighting number 2. How is that not how is that not a headline on every newspaper?
in a golf match and you got one guy that's close and other guys that aren't so close, but he's not close. I'm leading him by 45 or 50 points.
Last thing on COVID.
No, he isn't.
In your mind,
you are at 45 or 50 points. That's not the same thing. You only have half your fucking party. You were president already. You've been president and half your party is like, what else you got?
Did the COVID vaccine work?
It's such an interesting question.
It is interesting, isn't it? Interesting is a word I would use. Does the COVID vaccine work? It's interesting.
Because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world. You know, we did a tremendous job on that. But
they didn't do anything. All he did was say, use everything. Stick a light bulb up your ass, drink some horse paste, fucking eat some fish tank cleaner, inject anything in you, right to try.
We had a wet vaccine. Now you have different COVIDs. You had COVID.
You have different COVIDs. This is going to be good. Somebody get out a legal pad. This is going to require notes. There were different COVIDs. Okay. I think he means strains. We'll see.
But I also did the Regenerons of the world, you know.
The Regenerons of the world. As the duly designated house parks of the world. I take issue.
We did a tremendous job on that. But we had a wet vaccine. Now you have different COVIDs. You had COVID-19 and then you have different COVIDs. But we had original was COVID-19, which was the roughest one.
They're all COVID-19, fuckhead. That's all COVID-19. There are strains of that particular disease. It's not, we haven't gotten COVID 2021, 22. The fuck are you talking about? Look at this gibberish. Grown man. This man was president.
But we had a wet vaccine. Now you have different.
And by the way, does that sound like he's saying we had a wet vaccine?
Because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world. You know, we did a tremendous job on that. But we had a wet vaccine. Now you have different.
Yeah, we had a wet vaccine. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know because you don't take it in pill form. We had a wet vaccine. What is he talking about? Is anybody? Shit.
COVID.
What? I prefer the wet kind.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Right.
You had COVID-19, and then you have different COVIDs. But we had an original.
Don't help him, Brett. Brett, don't save him from himself, asshole. You don't get to do that. Don't give him the word. He's got the best words. Back off, okay? You don't know. Brett, he'll work it out.
It was COVID-19, which was the roughest one. So I have a Democrat friend who's very smart. Hopefully he votes for me, but he's very smart. He said, I don't understand one thing about you. I watch your rallies. They're incredible. You talk about beating ISIS. You talk about taxes. You talk.
I have a Democrat friend that's very smart. He means Alan Dershowitz. That's it. That's who he's talking about. Alan used to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein, got a massage at Jeffrey Epstein's private house that was worth $70 million that he paid for it. It cost him $1 because he either had leverage on or provided sex trafficking victims to the guy who owned the fucking place. So he gave him the house for $1 to keep him, up to his fucking eyeballs in teenage girls. Or younger, God knows. Who gives, ugh.
Talk about regulation. You talk about everything. But you never said that. I've never heard you talk about how the incredible job you did with the vaccines, because
you never said,
as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years.
No. All right, first of all of your followers think they're dangerous, and they don't want to take them. They're untested. That's why shit takes 5 to 12 years. It's because most of the time, there's a bunch of different variants, and they wait for it to settle down so you don't have to get boosters all the time, and that's been other diseases. It has no reflection on any new pathogen that they're dealing with. There's no way to chart it at all. And the idea, though, is that maggots all over are like, I wouldn't take that shit for another decade until they work out the kinks.
Broke their ass, okay? Incredible job you did with the vaccines, because, as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass, okay? And you know who doesn't like me too much?
Wait, I broke?
Moon River.
I broke their ass. Okay. Busted their ass? I busted people's... busted? Sure. Broke? Broke. You broke their ass. You broke their actual assholes? With what? It can't be your fingers. They're too small, and neither is the other thing. So what'd you do? You broke their ass. You
because,
run that by me again?
I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass, okay?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Congratulations, ass breaker. What? I broke their ass, he says. Sorry, 1 second. I broke their ass. Hello, bullshit. What in the world?
And you know who doesn't like me too much? The FDA. Because
and everyone at the FDA's ass.
Because they were very bureaucratic, and I got it done. And he said, you may have saved in the world, throughout the world, 100 million people, and you never talk about it. I said, I really...
Yeah, it's interesting because, ironically, my voters hate that many people have said. They've been waiting for the great... They jack off to the purge while wearing hats with my logo on it and T-shirts with my head on Rambo's body. So I don't know that I can actually... there's better, and half of them want those other people dead. They think I saved a bunch of third world people. Good Lord.
Don't want to talk about it because, as a Republican, it's not a great thing to talk about because, for some reason, it's just not.
For some reason.
For some reason, it's just not. I know a reason. I was one of the reasons. Your supporters are fucking lunatics. That's why. But what do I know? I'm a thrice vaxxed zombie with the inability to put two thoughts together. I can barely get myself up a flight of stairs. I've been immunized the exact same number of times Trump has. It must be something genetic.
Yeah, for some reason, because people love the vaccines and people hate the vaccines.
And the people that love the vaccines are the people who are smart and want to live and want to be functional members of society. And the people who hate the vaccines are my base. It's weird.
But conservatives aren't. And I understand both sides.
Wait a minute. But conservatives aren't in. What? Hold on. Did I drop out? No, I'm okay. All right, back up to this whole thing. Give me 1 second.
For some reason?
Yeah, for some reason, because people love the vaccines and people hate the vaccines. But conservatives aren't. And I understand.
But conservatives aren't in. So conservatives, he means conservatives hate the vaccines. Because and again, this has a lot to do with the whole like inability on his part or unwillingness or quite frankly fear of decoupling MAGA from conservatism, you know, as a general ideology. He can't do it because it's the end of him as a political force. So he has to pretend that all maggots are conservatives and all conservatives are maggots, and that there's the overlap is pure. Whereas in reality, the people who call themselves conservatives that he runs into, they are all to the person maggots, and all the maggots are offshoots of QAnon, and so they hate it. They think it's a fucking Depop scam.
Both sides of it, by the way. I understand both sides very well.
Yeah, I understand both sides very well. So I'm going to just sit here on the fence with one of the little white pickets up my broken ass. I mean, really.
Well, what I didn't do is the mandates. The mandates and the vaccines don't go. And you had these governors mandating.
Well, you did with
and
the
by
Defense
the way,
Department.
Ron DeSantis.
The Pentagon did.
Well, hold on. You did it with the Pentagon. You did it with the Defense Department. That's where the soldiers had to do it. That happened under Trump. And then Ron, he can't even get out his fucking nickname. Ron DeSantis.
What I didn't do is the mandates. The mandates and the vaccines don't go. And you had these governors mandating. Well, you did with
and
the
by
Defense
the way,
Department. Ron DeSantis.
The Pentagon did.
Ron DeSantis had lines of people trying to get the vaccine. He set up whole things. You know, when I never.
Hey, wait a minute. If people are lining up to get it, it's because they want to get it. What's your fucking point?
I saw a guy that could forget the past so quickly because the past wasn't that long ago.
He does have the best memory.
Ron DeSantis had
DeSantis? You can't even fucking remember the nickname you just gave him, asshole. DeSanctimonious. I don't even know why I'm repeating it. It's stupid anyways. Just call him DeSanctus. That makes as much and as little sense.
He literally had people lined up trying to get the vaccine. All the things that he said. For instance, Ron DeSantis loved Fauci.
Sure, but you didn't fire him. You listened to him. You kept
he's
him
a
on.
civil service for it. You're not actually allowed to fire him, but I wouldn't let that usually get in my way. You know, it's one of those things.
Okay, it's one of those things. You never fired anybody. You always had somebody else fire them. He's a wuss. There was never a you're fired moment in the entirety of the Trump administration. Even Bill Barr was like, if you want me to do this, I have my resignation letter right here. And he goes, okay, well, give me your resignation letter. That was it. That's the closest he ever fucking came. There was never a, you're fired, get out of here, which is what he promised on the campaign trail.
But I never,
among other bullshit.
Spent a lot of time with Fauci. Who did is Biden. Fauci became...
Okay, first of all, yes, you did. First, the idea was that you were having meetings with CDC and NIH people every fucking day. Spent that much time. The idea is that you guys were all having these meetings and then walking out right after the meeting and having these relatively impromptu slapdash scatterbrain fucking PR pushes in the press room.
Very powerful under Biden. Remember, Fauci was the one that said...
You mean very powerful under Biden. You mean the part where we actually got vaccines and people were able to get them?
Don't close it to China. I closed it to China. Fauci,
I closed it to China. Again, this is...
believe it or not, was totally anti-mask, and then he became a radical masker. But on the vaccines, so the mandates
by the way,
are horrible.
He wasn't...
And I was always
He
against
wasn't
the mandates.
anti-mask.
But really...
Shut the fuck up. He wasn't anti-mask. The science was not proven enough that it would be helpful. He was saying, stay the fuck home. They were looking at the death rate of this pathogen in China, which is way fucking bigger than any number they've ever produced. I'm telling you, there is a minimum of 20 million dead in China from that, in 2020. And so the CDC and the NIH and all those folks were talking to him, and they're looking at these figures, and China's saying, we've got about a couple thousand dead, or a couple people are sick. And they're like, no, these crematoriums are running non-fucking stop. They are burying people in piles in certain places. Like, basically, they're going to be mass graves found in China after this is all over. 20 million, easy. And they're like, this is fucking bad. Masks aren't going to do it. Stay the fuck home. We don't even know where the shit this thing is coming from. And then they started learning more about the pathogen. They got the genome of it. They were able to, like, spread it around to labs around the world and start working on it.
On the vaccines, I let the governors make their decisions. But you have a lot of people...
First of all, you have to. That's how state of emergencies work in the United States. Unless you want to, like, suspend habeas corpus and put martial law in place, that shy of that, which nobody expected anybody to fucking do it, or why would you even need to do it in that regard? You have to turn it over to the governors.
That love the vaccines. I mean, you do. They happen to be more Democrat than they are Republican.
That's why I asked the question.
But you have a lot of people. There are people that say I saved 100 million lives. I don't even talk about it.
I don't even talk about it, but I just said it, and I did. But the vaccines, obviously, my voters think they killed the same amount of people, but I don't even talk about it because that's how fucked up my party is, that you literally can't even take credit for saving 100 million lives if it means signing off on a vaccine again. This man is clamoring for the leftover bottom of the barrel votes of the maggot world that's still left.
On law and order, you have said you'd be in favor
Clung, clung.
of the death penalty for drug dealers.
Yeah.
Still the case?
Yeah, it's the only way you're going to stop it. Look.
Yep. Look, the only way you're going to stop it.
Yeah, look. We can be babies and we can have blue ribbon committees. I had my great first lady, beautiful wife, Melania, who says hello. She was in charge of a committee, a blue ribbon committee of socialites and various other people that want to be on a committee. And they worked very hard. And by the way, had an impact. You know, we brought it down 18%, but 18% is not 100.
No, he didn't. The 18% lowering was when all the borders and ports were closing. Most of the drugs that come into this country come in through shipping containers. When all the shipping in the fucking world drops off, of course the number of drugs coming into the country drops off precipitously. You out of your fucking mind?
When I was in China, I met with President Xi, 1.4 billion people.
No.
I said, do you have a drug problem? No.
Oh, Jesus Christ. First of all, they have a huge drug problem, asshole.
Oh, I do not have a drug problem. I said,
I do not have a drug problem. It's great, you know. It's English is fantastic.
When I was in China, I met with President Xi, 1.4 billion people. I said, do you have a drug problem? No.
Are you drunk right now? You smell like meth and fish.
I do not have a drug problem. I said, why do you say that is? Because we immediately give a quick trial and a penalty to drug dealers. And if you go...
Wait, did they cut out death penalty?
Why do you say that is? Because...
Why do you say that is? Fuck, man, I didn't realize he spoke Chinese.
We immediately give a quick trial and a penalty.
Yep, somebody on Rumble or whatever cut out the word death.
To drug dealers. And if you go to Singapore, rich, everything else, they had a huge drug problem. Zero drug problem.
No, even when they kill you, still drugs.
If you want to get rid of it now, I don't know that this country is ready for it.
No, we're what's called a democracy with a Bill of Rights. So yeah, no, we're not ready for summary executions based on accusations of drug dealing. Fuckhead.
Don't know. You know, every time I say it, I sort of like, it's not easy to say.
Jesus Christ. Sometimes I say it, I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm saying another bullshit idea from Steve Miller's genocidal fucking dome. But here we go. Hang on. Let's do it. My fucking, this dude,
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
The death penalty. But remember this, a drug dealer, male or female drug dealer.
Male or female. That's good. It's important. Male or female. Not just the men.
Plenty of female drug dealers, too.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of female drug dealers. Matter of fact, I think Brett Baer's about to bring up one that you might know personally. Fuckhead.
A drug dealer will kill approximately 500 people during the course of his or her life.
So you were a big proponent of the...
Oh, yeah, but only if they really apply themselves. I mean, you gotta work at that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, you know, it's not like Call of Duty where you can just, you know, buy COD points. It's a shit.
First Step Act, the criminal justice reform. You even ran an ad during the Super Bowl about it.
With gratitude, I want to thank President Donald John Trump.
Critics of that law point out that 13,500 people have been released. About 12% of them have committed serious crimes after that. Joel Francisco was serving a life sentence for selling crack cocaine. He was released in 2019, alleged stabbing a man to death, rearrested. Paul Moore, drug trafficker, fatally shot.
Look at Trump's eyes. Is it just me or they just all of a sudden get bloodshot like in 2 seconds? Like, these are all people you got out of jail and they've murdered or raped or stabbed somebody. And but please go on about immigrants doing something. It's something. Watch this.
Life sentence for selling crack cocaine.
Watch Trump's eyes when he cuts to him, and he does that kind of like there's like this. Wait, watch.
He was released in 2019, alleged stabbing a man to death, rearrested. Paul Moore, drug trafficker, fatally shot.
It just froze.
Arrival received a reduced sentence, so there are those, and your opponents are hitting on this.
Yeah, but I focused on nonviolent crime.
I focused on nonviolent crime. Guess what, asshole? Your slapdash bullshit bill that got through because everybody wanted to try to clamor to get what they needed, every edge they could possibly get, and every time this motherfucker thinks black people, he thinks criminals. The only way you can appeal to them is to appeal to their love of criminals. That's what it is. That's what he's selling. Every fucking time. That's his thought. Well, let some criminals out. Maybe the low-end criminals, you know, and they'll be happy with me for letting some of the low-end criminals out, and they'll vote for me because of that. Fuck out of here. If it mattered that they were nonviolent, you should have been hyper specific. Like, you know, if you're let out, if you have a whatever, if your sentence is past a certain point, you don't just get out or get a lower sentence. You have to have mandatory probation for a period of that time that's equivalent of parole, meaning you can be thrown in jail immediately upon, you know, violating. So you keep people who've engaged in really gnarly shit from just thinking, I don't know if I could, I guess I'll just wait till the next dickhead like Trump gets back in.
An example, a woman who you know very well.
Ooh, this goes very badly for him. This is just, you can see that rake a-coming. It's coming around the bend. And I ain't seen it hit someone so hard since I don't know when. And he's just stepping on that rake and it's got a plate of dog shit on the end. Oh, man.
Was in jail. She had 24 more years to serve. She served for 22 years. She had 24.
Alice Johnson.
Alice.
She was in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, she was in the Super Bowl ad. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
High quality. Oh, yeah. I said, how many years? And she was on a telephone call, and they were involved in selling marijuana, mostly marijuana. And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
I just love that. But she would be killed under your plan quickly. Did you realize parole and all that shit isn't possible if you fucking murder someone? This is why, by the way, to reiterate, if I may, point of order, Mr. Chairman, it is why we here, and by we I mean me, at Hal Sparks Megaworldwide are against the death penalty. Not because some people haven't overstepped the line to a point where the world wouldn't be better off if they were gone. That's absolutely true. There are a bunch of evil motherfuckers who aren't mentally ill or might try to sell it as mental illness, who have just found a way to meet their needs at the expense of other people to such a horrifying degree that they deserve to be wiped off the face of the fucking earth. But to set up a system like that, you are in danger of always, because no system is perfect, of killing an innocent person. And to me, it is better to throw these assholes in jail for a very, 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 very long time so that at least you can walk it back. If you find out later there was exculpatory evidence or it was a mistaken identity or some other shit or the witness totally lied and they were getting all that shit, you can actually walk it back. You can't do that in a fucking cemetery. That's why. Not because people don't deserve it, but because the one innocent person, I'm not willing to sacrifice that one innocent person just so we can kill a bunch of other people. That's not worth it to me, just for the record. But this asshole is like, kill him, kill him, kill him. They're all kill him, kill him. Even if we can't tie him to the 500, statistically, they just deserve to die, so kill him. Yeah, but what if you were fucking wrong again? Watch this. This is fucking glorious.
Huh?
Huh?
And they were involved in selling marijuana, mostly marijuana. And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
Huh?
As a drug dealer.
No. Under that?
Yes, fuckhead. Under that, Mr. Quick Trial. She'd have been dead 20 fucking years ago. 27 now, or whatever the shit. She'd be dead. Of course she'd be dead, dipshit. They had her, no pun intended, dead to rights. She was guilty. She did do that thing. She did it on a scale that most of the people under her are still in jail and she got out. The people she ordered to kill people are still doing time, but you commuted her sentence because you're like, she's a woman, harmless. How much trouble can a woman do? They're physically weak and like you can just see the misogyny in who he lets out. It's fucking on his own when he chooses to do it, like just for show. Oh my God. Look at his face too. Oh, let's see that again. That's so good. It's so, I'm just enjoying this. Okay, here we go.
And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
Huh?
As a drug dealer.
No. Under that?
Yeah.
It would depend on the severity. It would depend.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to know that. It depends on, so are we talking like Pop Rocks and Dr. Pepper and kind of talking people into that kind of craziness, which also, I mean, maybe, or are we talking?
And on this ad, she's technically a former drug dealer. She had multi-million-dollar cocaine ring.
Any drug dealer, look.
So even now,
Look.
legal, yeah, look. Johnson in that ad.
She can't do it, okay?
All right, no more. Okay, I let her out, but you can't do that shit anymore, okay? Or, great.
By the way, if that was there, no, she wouldn't be killed. It would start as of now, so you wouldn't go to the past.
I know, but your policy.
No.
Again, like, you're gonna fucking we're gonna whenever I change the law, I believe in retroactively charging people with the death penalty. Tim Allen, you're up, buddy. According to Donald Trump, it would take him this much to just push him over the line.
Starting now, yeah. But she wouldn't have done it if it was death penalty. In other words, if it was death penalty, she wouldn't have been on that phone call. She wouldn't have been a dealer. Now, she wasn't much of a dealer because she was sort of like, I mean, honestly, she got treated terribly. She was treated sort of like I get treated. But
I'm sorry. You're complaining because you're treated like a cocaine and pot dealer who had a group of salespeople under her that enforced their tariff through violence? Like that? You're being treated like that? What's the word I'm looking for? What is there's a word for what I'm feeling? Good. Good. Like, you get the feeling like they had a wiretap and she got busted on the wiretap, and that was a key piece of evidence. So he's just like, it was like they spied on my campaign. You and I are exactly the same. By letting her free, I'm letting myself free. Aren't I kind of pardoning myself by pardoning her? What the shit?
right, she was treated very unfairly. But she got 48 years, and that was bad. Now, today, if I did what I say, that
I'd shoot her myself in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and I wouldn't lose a vote.
you have to do. And again, I'm not sure the country's ready for it.
No, we're not. We're not ready to be fucking Venezuela. We're not ready to have like Hugo Chavez picking who dies. No.
You know, China was hugely, 150 years ago, China was taken over by much lesser countries because they were all drugged out on the opium, all the problem.
It's a communist regime.
They were on the opium, all the problems.
Regime. They dropped the hammer.
They were all drugged out, and
they were all drugged out.
They were a disaster. They were taken.
They were a disaster. Look, slow down, TED Talk. I'm not ready for a history lesson this early in the day. Too many dates and times and figures and facts.
Over by other smaller countries, large sections of China. And then things happened, and they had strong leadership, and they put in the death penalty, and they've been able to build.
My point.
They've been able to build. Oh, fuck me. Oh. He thinks that they salvaged their economy and became a high-tech powerhouse because they put in the death penalty to stop people from doing opium in the 1800s. Motherfucker. Oh, God. It's like it hurts. Like the dumb, it hurts. It's so... I will say the face is knocking it out of the park, though. That's pretty much the look. That's it. I know what you're saying, man. I think he looks perfect. Look, that's my president, man. Hey, don't you fuck around, man. And I've done a thing or two. I've trusted a pill and snorted it. One time, I think it was mostly laxatives or whatever. Boo, doggy. I'm just saying my thoughts smoothed out a lot. I was about to tell y'all a one-time story. I'm going to save it for later. Oh, God.
If you speak to President Xi, he will tell you, without the penalty, we would have a non-functioning country.
Without the death penalty, and they did. They cut out the word death. They edited the word death out. With whoever posted the video here or Fox themselves.
My point is that you're getting hit from the right for being soft on crime because of the First Step Act. And then you're saying,
I signed the thing.
That would be your policy. Mark Short, the Vice President's Chief of Staff, said this weekend.
One of the most unseemly parts of the end of our administration was the pardons that Donald Trump gave to cocaine traffickers, to family members, to people guilty of violent crimes.
What do you say to that?
Because I looked at individual things, and I had committees doing this much more than me.
I looked at individuals, and I had committees doing it. I mean, I had committees looking at individuals. They did it. They picked these people. I trusted. I think it turns out a lot of them were Democrats. Most of them just got me coffee. I don't even know.
And they would look at things, and sometimes people, even when there's a violent crime, very few violent crimes, because I didn't want to take chances on that.
But you did.
Right? But they would look at...
Also, by the way, I'm sorry, if it's a violent crime, stay the fuck in there. Why would you, honest to God, what, explain to me, all the people that might be in jail for some...
People, and they would recommend
hold on,
to
shut
me...
the fuck up. All the people that are in jail in this entire country, in federal prison, where you can pardon somebody, the myriad of crimes that are out there, you know, like fucking crimes of paperwork, tax fraud, and fucking bounce checks and blah, blah, blah. You can find some poor asshole who bounced one too many checks or whatever, and it just got a lot more time than they should have because the town was sick of their shit. And then they crossed a state line and they ended up getting a federal charge on it. It was stacked on their other stuff. And then you end up in jail. Like, it's just fucking sad. I understand those people. There's plenty of those fucking people. There's too many of those people to pick from. You could literally pick from different, every demographic you're trying to reach in the election cycle. You could get 6. And this motherfucker's like, some violent, I don't know, I was looking at some, no. How about this? No violent criminals get pardoned. None. Violence, do you fucking people don't understand violence when it actually fucking happens. You know what it takes to actually exercise violence on one of your fellow human beings out of your own egotistical fucking choices? Kill that person, beat that person, cut that person, stab that person, rape that person. Do you know the mindset involved? The fucking ego it takes for somebody to think my desires, my pleasure, my existence, my enjoyment for the evening is more important than you having functioning limbs for the rest of your fucking life. No. Like, at some point, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody presented like a moratorium on, on pardons for violent criminals by the president. Like, you can't do it. Like, if it's a violent crime in these categories, no murder, attempted murder, fucking rape, armed robbery, no. Bombings, whatever the fuck, no. Busy yourself with other people who might actually, they tried to buy a TV in the, mid-70s with a bum check and they've been sitting in a fucking room all this time. Let them out, for fuck's sake. Even if they reoffend, it's relatively fucking harmless. I didn't want to take a chance. Listen to this dickhead.
Well, even when there's a violent crime, very few violent crimes, because I didn't want to take chances on that.
All right, what violent crimes do you're like, I'm okay with that one? Just for my own advocate, name fucking one. What was it? Did he pistol whip a granny? What did he do? He beat up a woman that looked vaguely like Rosie O'Donnell. He hit somebody, or they hit somebody that looks like somebody you wish you could hit if you weren't such a wuss. Is that what it is? What was it? What violent crimes were okay? For fuck's sake.
Right? But they would look at people and they would recommend to me, do it or not.
They would recommend to me, do it or not. So you would take their recommendation. So you didn't look at these things. You had other people making a list and selling fucking pardons.
I turned down 50 for everyone I pardoned.
I turned down 50 for everyone I pardoned. What was the ratio? Is that the ratio of black to white? Fucking hell.
But sometimes you would see something that normally you wouldn't do, and you do it on recommendation of a very good committee. We had a very good committee, a very capable committee.
A blue ribbon committee, like the one the First Lady was on, that's full of shit and it doesn't actually change anything. Like that?
But if you want to stop drugs in this country, which by
we got to start murdering people the minute they're accused of selling drugs. Because even if they just started yesterday, they're gonna, if you let them live, they're gonna obviously smuggle all these drugs into prison in their butt and kill 500 prisoners. And even though that might be, well, some people would even say that's not such a bad thing, that you still can't do it. You can't do it because I don't think the country's ready for it.
By the way, I would say 60% of the crime.
And add fentanyl in there, yeah.
Especially when you had, the fentanyl is a disaster. One thing about fentanyl, so I was
Okay, here we go. We get the anecdote. So I was with President Xi, and I was like, "You can't do it. You better not do it." And they didn't do it. They stopped doing it. Now they're doing it a lot.
With President Xi, and we had a deal worked out. He was going to give the death penalty to anybody in China that made fentanyl. He was going to call it a criminal act, and
he was going to call it a criminal act. He didn't call it that before.
Was all set to do it. Then again, we had the election. That's the end of that. They would not.
I see. They were, yeah. And you bought it? You believed them.
Not have been sending fentanyl. They send it right through Mexico, comes right through the border.
Okay, so you think COVID was an accident, but you think fentanyl is a murder plot. Great.
But right now, 12 times more drugs come through the border than came through when I was president.
During COVID, when the fucking nobody was coming across the border, and again, the ports were fucking closed.
Now, Brett, one thing, if you want
to do this, we've got to I think we have to use some Jewish space lasers and shoot anybody who makes fentanyl in China. I think we got to kill them from space. I think that's really the only.
Want to stop drugs? There's only one way you're going to stop.
That's right. You got to kill these people, Brett. You got to kill them sight unseen. I mean, if they can't get their act together and defend themselves in 24 hours, dead ski, dead. And if we turn out to be wrong, it seems, it's unfortunate, but is it really? We don't know. But also it makes us look tough. We got to be tough.
The death penalty for dealers.
Jesus Christ.
That the criticism about what you did and didn't do that day, your communications at all.
So I gave many in my speech. My speech has been reviewed by every lawyer that's reviewed it. Said it was a perfectly normal speech.
No, it wasn't, and I'll tell you why. Here's the main reason why Trump's Jan 6th speech was the root of the insurrection and the entire point. The phrase we're gonna walk down to the Capitol and I'm gonna go with you was originally in the teleprompter, written into the speech, and then they took it out when his own lawyers told him, if you put that in and you actually do it, you have to get a permit, and it's also going to set off alarm bells everywhere, and it's going to quintuple the security around the entire area. You're going to have to get way more cops. You can't have people marching towards the fucking Capitol with you without all the streets being lined with police. And they're going to have to, partition off places. It's one thing if you're having a rally someplace, but once you decide to take it onto the street officially, for it to not be put down like a riot, you're going to have to get a permit. And he took it out specifically so that they wouldn't be prepared at the Capitol on that day. Because it had been in there, that they would have put up walls in front of the Capitol, those big barriers we saw after the fact. They would have had way more police and National Guard around it. But the reason they didn't have it is because there was no belief that he was going to send a group of people down there and say he was marching with them. He took it out for that reason. He wanted the guard to be lowered at the Capitol.
Here, Maxine Waters hit him in the face and hit him here and hit.
That's not what you said.
My speech was an elegant speech. It was Lindsey Graham said about my speech, that's maybe the softest speech I've ever heard you make. It's very interesting. I said, peacefully and patriotically. Be peaceful, be patriotic.
Yeah, on the walk down there. Yeah, don't tear up the plants or wreck the fucking trees on your way down there. Once we get there, though, don't start ripping shit up peacefully and patriotically. We're going to walk down to the Capitol. Once you get there, you got to let your voice heard or we're not going to have a country, and you're going to have to be strong, and you're going to have to fight. And if Mike Pence doesn't have of course, walk down there peacefully and patriotically. He wanted it to be a march. That's what patriotically meant to him. He wanted everybody to fucking like an army.
But even more than the speech, I put out statements. Now, 2 of those statements were on Twitter. And as soon as I put them out, they terminated me. And the reason they terminated...
No, they didn't. He put out the statements like, don't attack the police. They're our friends or they're on our side. Right. The idea was being that they're on our side. Well, his supporters had already believed at that point that the Capitol Police are not the police. The Capitol Police are jackbooted soldiers that work for Nancy Pelosi, and they're a extrajudicial force put in there by the fucking UN and all sorts of nudnik bullshit. And the idea that people in the middle of a fucking riot are going to go, hang on. He tweeted something. What? Oh, it's a retweet. Never mind. Kill. Like, they were building a gallows, you dumb fuck.
I've heard is because those statements were so good. They were beautiful statements. Go home. Don't do this. Go home, etc., etc.
Etc., etc. Why don't you just read them? Brett, put them up on screen.
Two things interesting about that day.
That you waited so long to make those statements because you were hoping it would actually work, and then once you realized it wasn't going to be successful, and you heard Secret Service go, Pence is clear, and they had him secured and they knew he'd be okay, that, unless they burnt the building down around him, which was, it's made out of rocks, so it's a little difficult. Once you heard that, you're like, all right, call it off.
Number one, they never show the pictures of the actual rally where I made the.
Oh my God, this whole fucking ego push. I had a huge crowd, probably the biggest crowd I've ever had. Right? Yeah. We don't give a shit. You know why? Because the vast majority of those people, even though I would have huge disagreements with them politically, even though some of them wear ridiculous shirts with your head on Rambo's body and stuff, and I find that hilarious, they went the fuck home. I don't have a problem with any of those people. You can have whatever political belief you want. You can rally about that shit, but I'm not talking about them. The vast majority of the people, the size of that rally is more indicative of what a small group was able to do and how violent they became, and how his focus was on the people who attacked the fucking place and defending them ever since. Instead of saying, the vast majority of people at my rally, they were upset and we had our say and all that kind of stuff, but then in the end of the day, it went that direction. We wish it hadn't, and we're going to fight like hell to get it back next time. They went the fuck home to vote next time. He didn't. Those people are forgotten. If you didn't charge the fucking Capitol, you're not a real maggot to him.
Speech. All they do is show the Capitol with maybe 1,000 people.
Maybe 1,000 people.
It was the largest crowd that I've ever spoken before, and some people say it was way over 1 million people.
No. Also, why is Fox not showing an aerial shot? Tell me they had a drone that day?
But it was the largest crowd that I've ever spoken before. Nobody.
I got to tell you, it looks like one of those like Good Morning America park concerts in Central Park, size-wise. And I'm fairly certain those things cost money.
Never shows it.
But I'm talking about January 6th, that day. Are you, about what you did and didn't do, worried about where this is headed at all? You said that you would pardon.
No, let me tell you this. I said it was a great speech. And I tell these people, they're so unfair, everything.
Perhaps the rioters. Would you also pardon the people who were convicted of assaulting officers?
Well, you also have, we'd look at individual cases, but many of those people are very innocent people. They did nothing wrong.
Yeah, just, that's why I pardoned some violent people.
Portland, where they killed people and they've destroyed a city. I mean, the place it's all boarded up. They destroyed, nothing happened to them. In Seattle, where they...
Yeah, they did. The FBI has arrested a lot of those people, especially, and again, if you cross state lines, that's the idea. That's where it becomes a federal issue. And they attacked a federal building. If you attack that part of it, then you can extend those out. And you go on the FBI website, they're seeking these people out. That's why they're all in black bloc. They're all wearing fucking face coverings and hiding and all that kind of shit. Because if we were the kind of country where Antifa's just allowed to burn the shit down, why would they be wearing masks and covering up who they are? Secondly, prove to me they're not, spoilers from your side. Right? That's how it works. That's why fucking dressing in all black and throwing Molotov cocktails is no proof of that you're behind any political convictions, if you have any at all. It's just anarchy for the sake of whatever side you want to benefit from.
Took over 20% of the city. Nothing happened to them. And these people, many of them, soldiers and policemen and firemen and teachers and doctors, these people, nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Yes, they have. Most of these fuckers went home. Most of them got at worst, an ankle bracelet. Most of them got a slap on the wrist. The only ones that are still in jail fucking threatened the judge during their bail hearing or spit on a fucking guard or pulled shit like that. Fuck out of here.
It's like a third world. We're being run now like a third world country.
No, we're not. And nice edit, by the way. Watch this. Look at
and
this.
firemen and teachers and doctors.
Whatever he said after third world country, they cut it out. Probably that he was wrong. You know, that's the
a ninth world country, not a third world country. A ninth
These
world
people,
country.
nobody's ever seen anything like it. This is like a third world. We're being run now like a third world country.
You've suggested you may skip the early Republican primary debates, the first being in August in Milwaukee. You're still in that.
Why are you such a blazing pussy about it? That's my. This is from a viewer question, of course.
Mindset.
I like to debate. I mean, I probably am here because of debates. I don't mind it at all. But when you're 40 points up and you're running against, and even one came out today that you saw 51 points up, why would I let Ada Hutchinson, I call him Ada because, you know.
Because you forgot his name is Asa?
His name's Asa, but I call him Ada for whatever reason.
Why is that?
Oh, I see. Because you forgot his fucking name? I've got the best words. I know everything. I have the best memory. And I think his name's Ada. It's Ada? It's Asa. I just remembered it's Asa, and I just said Ada. But I'm going to pretend I did it on purpose because I'm that fucking weak.
And even one came out today that you saw 51 points up. Why would I let Ada Hutchinson, I call him Ada because, you know, his name's Asa, but I call him Ada for whatever reason.
Why is that? He needs.
I think he's weak.
Okay.
I think he's ineffective. But
yeah, that's not a reason. You're going to aid A. Hutchinson? Is that where we're going? Good Lord.
why would I let him, Chris Christie, who's got nothing going except I could be tougher than Trump. He's not tougher than anybody's slob. But
yeah, he's not tougher. He's a slob. Yes, because you're the physical perfection. I'm sorry, you were ubermensching. I'm sorry.
why would I let these people take shots at me? In other words,
they're going to take shots at you. The question isn't about whether you let them take shots at you. That's part of the process. They're going to put ads up. They're already taking shots at you. He showed the fucking video just recently, just a couple of minutes ago, of them lining up your lockdown talk and the fact that you've let people out who are violent criminals. They're going to take the shots. The debate part is whether you can take the heat of somebody throwing shit your way and answer it, which is part of your tough guy mythology. You'd think you'd jump at the chance.
hey, Ronald Reagan had primaries. They all had primaries. I had one.
Yeah, but Reagan was still president when he was like, fuck this.
Last time. And Biden, he's got somebody at 21%. I just saw a number, 21%. JFK Jr., who's...
JFK Jr. I call him JFK Jr. for some reason. Ada Hutchinson calls him that, I guess. JFK Jr. And you know the QAnons are going nuts right now. They're like, oh my God, I fucking knew it. It's not Robert F. Kennedy. He's JFK. It's actually JFK Jr. RFK Jr. is really JFK. RFK Jr. is the one who died in the plane crash, and JFK Jr. is really their adrenochrome.
Very nice person, Maurice.
Hold on. Listen to this. Listen to it again. And again, Brett Baer rolling in to save him.
I had one last time. And Biden, he's got somebody at 21%. I just saw a number, 21%. JFK Jr., who's a very nice person. I know him very well. He's a very, very fine person. He's at 21%.
Oh, he's a very fine person. Was he in Charlottesville by any chance?
But DNC's not going to do any debates. He won't agree to them.
Do it, but
so what does it mean if the two front runners for the White House, you and President Biden, duck the debate stage?
Oh, no, we have to.
Well, the sitting president ducking the debate stage, depending on the issues that he's dealing with, make total fucking sense because you're busy being president. A lot of presidents in the past have used that excuse, and it works just fine. This motherfucker has a lot of free time.
Debate. No.
Primaries.
Oh, yeah, we have to. He and I have to definitely debate. That's what I love. But the two of us have to debate as the two even if the polls are...
So you haven't made your definitive decision on the primary?
No, I haven't, but I do say, why would I allow a hostile network, Fox, pretty hostile. Why would I allow...
You get a fair shake.
Okay, but I mean, this is a fair interview, but it's hostile. It's on the hostile side.
It's hostile. Fucking hell. Yeah, it's totally hostile. Motherfucker just told you it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., not John F. Kennedy Jr. He's trying to help you out, dum-dum.
I wouldn't say it's a puff piece, but that's okay. Hey,
I wouldn't say it's a puppy. That's the standard. I would say you're kissing my ass, and that is the only way I take my interviews. That's the only way I want it. That's the only way I'll have it.
River.
I just need the kind of interview that I kind of need, and that is that.
Where's Dick? Hi, Dick. Do we like Dick? Yes.
What? Brett, why would I allow a hostile network and then allow people?
I don't know, because you can fucking handle it? Because you're trying to be president of the United States? And it might just be that being able to handle that kind of thing and handle that pressure and push back on those things and maintain your cool and your calm and be able to have a command of the facts and reality might be one of the key components of being able to do the fucking job.
Well, that are polling at zero. They're polling at zero, many of these guys. One of them is zero with an arrow left. Now, I think that's a mistake. In other words, a zero, that's less than zero. Christie's like at 1% or less. Many of them, Nikki Haley's at 2%. She hasn't caught on because everyone knows she's, highly overrated.
Okay, first of all, you fucking hired her, stupid. Again, by the way, these are all people that Trump previously praised during his the best people phase, which I guess he's given up on.
Put Nikki there because I like the governor.
But I hate her now.
The lieutenant governor of South Carolina. And Henry McMaster has turned out to be a great, great governor.
That's why you put her in the position for the UN?
I got two for the price of one. I put her over there, but much more important to me, because Henry McMaster...
Wait, so his argument is he put her at the UN so that he could help one of his political partners. He could broom the female governor of a state so that her second in command could get this. Holy shit. How is this not an ad? Nikki Haley, have at it.
McMaster was great, always great, and people love him in South Carolina, and I got him to be governor of South Carolina. That was a very big thing to me, and I put her in that other position. But look, Nikki...
He put her at the UN just to clear the way for a buddy of his to become fucking governor without... All right.
He is very low. They're all very low. So why would I allow people at 1% and 2% and 0% to be hitting me with questions all night?
I don't know. Good idea. How about the guy at 20%? I mean, like I said, you got free time.
I don't think it's fair.
Does any of this ever get to you? Are you ever exhausted by it?
I almost don't have time to be exhausted. I should be exhausted. Many people have asked, how do you take it?
And it's a really awkward question.
Rock
a lot
your
of
shorts
times.
and bend over, Mr. Babar.
And how do I take it?
River.
The reality is, I take it.
I think people saw that loud and clear. And I think genetically, it's like...
Genetically. Does that explain everything? So genetically, you can take the pressure of whatever being the target of things, like you have a fucking choice. But genetically, you can't debate the top two people who you're running against when you're not even fucking president and you have nothing worthwhile to do. Nothing. You're a retiree. You're a retired public official who spends half his time microblogging with a small team. Good Lord.
I don't read, obviously.
I had to beat off.
Yeah, it's genetic. Yeah, the whole thing's genetic.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Right, that's that. But all these things, these are just
Legal.
genetic.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, it's a genetic affectation.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
I mean, it's got to be in the genes. You'd have to. I mean,
Even
obviously.
brought a safecracker.
Yeah, they did.
In his sock drawer.
That's a weird place to put a safecracker, I gotta say.
Whether it's an athlete or something else.
Because you've been under fire in the spotlight for a long time.
I've been under fire from the time I came down the escalator. Maybe before that. If you look at the whole hoax, it started when my name was first announced, and I did well on the poll right from day one. You know, when I came down that first day,
no, you didn't.
I went to number one of the poll, and I never came back. As a Republican, I was center stage every single.
And by the way, he dipped a couple of times. There were people who thought they could jockey ahead of him.
Debate. And we had a lot of them. But I was center stage every single. And by the way, I didn't do one debate because I thought Fox was treating me very unfairly. You know, you don't remember that.
I know.
That
I remember.
Didn't do too well either. But.
Yeah, because look, because apartment fires and slow speed chases do better than all kinds of real news. That's not the fucking point. As a matter of fact, the more ratings the news gets, the worse things are. News should be a perfunctory aspect of people's viewing in terms of like what they watch on cable or where anywhere else except here where it's fun. But the idea that somehow, yes, if the debates are full of bullshit and they're run like some sort of like Real Housewives version of The Apprentice, then yeah, they're going to get more attention. That doesn't mean that's good. That's like, when they put facelifts and tummy tucks as part of GDP growth someplace. And you're like, look how much the economy's growing because our people are miserable and sick and chasing youth in the worst way possible.
And I would love to debate in one way, but in another way I say, why would I debate allowing people that are polling at zero, have no votes, have no popularity, shouldn't be there, they're wasting everyone's time and they know it. Why would I allow them to ask me questions?
Yeah, well, I think especially because you'd have someone that might be at 0% or 1% suddenly kick your ass. I mean, that's what the fear is, isn't it? That somebody at 7% can just kick your ass. Because I got news for you. Like, Biden's not going to debate RFK and fucking Marianne Williamson. It's a waste of goddamn time. They're not going to argue fucking, like, anti-vax autism bullshit or fucking we need a country that's run on love except for certain fucking people. And we've got to let Ukraine get rolled over by Russia because, peace is peace at all costs, even if it means someone else getting murdered and raped. That, as long as we don't have to look at it, we should maybe just turn the channel. Maybe I'll talk to Oprah and she'll counter program the war for a little while. That'll be it. Like, he mopped the floor with him. But in the reality, he's scared shitless because Christie and Pompeo and even DeSantis are going to attack him on policy. And they're going to agree on policy. Like, they're going to take his policy and go, look, the problem isn't America first. It's that you need somebody competent to run it. And this dickhead can't do anything right. And we lost a bunch of seats and we lost the House and we should have had a big red wave that covered, but it was it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to
the royalty POV bullshit genetically. Yeah, seriously, CSL. Like, you know me. Like, this gets me. And it's not just because I'm, 5'8" and $165 fully clothed, soaking wet, and I look at the Brad Pitts and the Ryan Goslings of the world, and I go, shit. On occasion, it's not, like, I'm not going to get to play Captain America. It's just not going to happen in that form. Maybe a what if somewhere, but it's not going to happen. And I'm okay with that. I can still aspire to the better characteristics of those folks, and it's okay by me. But the idea that some people are just genetically better at handling stress when he's just gacked up on benzos and Adderall all the time. Allegedly.
Ask this question, the final question. Christine.
The final question. And then enjoy your retirement as a semi-retired microblogger.
Christine sent an Instagram post, and she asked, how is Melania handling all of this?
Who? I don't... you're going to have to ask me. She's doing very well. People love her. She's very popular. I haven't seen her in weeks.
She is a woman of great dignity and beauty and style. She is a very popular first lady.
Why don't you just talk about a statue? Does this sound like somebody talking about their wife?
A lot of people might not know that one way or the other. When I make speeches, we're starting the rallies now very soon, and when I make speeches, we have 50,000, 75,000.
No, you don't.
People, 25,000, 20,000.
2,300. You should have seen me in the Florida Rotary Club. Small ceiling, no lights. I was still magic. The single claps, I think I enjoy the one clap in a lot of ways better than lots of people booing. I like that where it just kind of peters off, like they do it and they expect people to join in and then they don't. I think I enjoy that. If you want to know the truth, I enjoy that more.
We have massive crowds, biggest ever in the history. There's never been
Nope.
anything like it.
No, Erdogan literally beat yours just weeks ago, and he barely squeaked by in his election.
So many signs that we love our first lady.
So many signs we love our first lady. Yeah, the big, my favorite are the people who have the big fuck Christmas signs. Or the ones that come dressed as like bloody stalagmites.
The people love Melania.
And I'm not, I'm on the fence about it, honestly. Some people like her a lot, some people don't. I like her, occasionally.
She's a very confident person. She feels I'm being very badly mistreated. And she says, you go ahead and you do whatever you want to do because I'm with you 100%.
So Melania,
you do whatever you want to do, just do it on somebody else. Whatever you do, don't do it on me.
Melania and Barron fully in.
They're great. They're great.
They're great. That's all you need to know. They are great. Although I'm a little pissed that Barron is taller than I am, and it's caused some tension in the house. Honest to God.
They don't like the gas.
So,
Mr. President, do you think you were fairly treated today?
I don't know. A couple of questions could have been done without, but that's okay. I enjoyed it.
A couple of questions could have been done without. I don't know. I could have done without a couple of the questions, but sure. Instead, that may have been the way the words left his fucking brain, but the way they came out
Barron
of his face.
Fully in.
They're great. They're great.
Mr. President, do you think you were fairly treated today?
I don't know. A couple of questions could have been done without, but that's okay. I enjoyed it.
We really
I enjoyed it. He looks like he enjoyed it. Just that. Brett, you fucker.
appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Yes, don't show the. And by the way, does Brett Baer have tiny hands too? Oh my God, they're like a race of beings. They hang out together. This is all for show. Shit. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. We got through it on that one, and his new ad, and his little addendum thing. I didn't get to do a show yesterday, so I want to do this next one. It's not that long, if that's okay with you guys, because I've missed this couple. Oh, they're the prom king and queen. If every prom was like Carrie's, but it was a bucket of shit and candy corn, and circus peanuts, 3 things I hate. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe introduce you to the mess himself and Debbie. The only situation where I found myself to accidentally being sexist, in that I thought in most cases the woman would be less racist than the man. And in this particular case, that is not the way it worked out at all. I was shocked, and I'm sorry, ladies. I was selling you short all these years. I was attributing positive characteristics to you and negative characteristics to men that over these years, and I've learned my lesson. I will never make that mistake again. Ladies, you can be just as shitty, if not more so. In this case, more so. Apparently, there's something terrifying happening, and the 2 of them need to cover it immediately. This is fucking frightening. Wait, this is awful. Here it comes. The left has a new proposal to choose the president by popular vote. By the way, if they're talking about like getting states together and just handing, like doing blocks for the Electoral College and going, hey, we're going to give our state Electoral College votes to the winner of the popular vote, just so that's been around for a long time. But I'm sure this will make us Venezuela and communism and Cuba and China and Iran and woke or something.
We're continuing our discussion of the Trump indictment.
Great, super. I'm glad we pick up our famous couple in the middle of their confusion. Apparently, hypoxia has set in, and they are losing oxygen to their brain at an increasing clip.
And it's worth noting here that Trump has a judge who was appointed by him. So Eileen Cannon the judge in the Trump case is a Trump judge. And she's also the...
That's weird. Shouldn't she be a judge for the American people? Doesn't she? I guess I didn't realize they did an oath to the president that assigned them the position. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to want to run a country. It's a very strange way to run a democracy, certainly.
Judge, when the FBI did the original Mar-a-Lago raid...
It wasn't a raid. It was a search warrant. They didn't come in through the fucking skylights. Nobody had guns drawn. They handed the search warrant and went methodically through stuff. Yeah.
She was the one who struck down the ability of the FBI to sort of decide for itself what constituted classified documents. In other words, she wanted a special master.
Debbie's just finding this out now.
Independent.
Right. The producer of the Mess D'Souza show is just finding this out.
Of the DOJ to review the documents, to separate out the classified from the non-classified ones. She was eventually overturned on appeal because the DOJ appealed.
Excuse me, real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt or whatever. Are you guys going to want dessert? Because we are closing, and the people that you were talking to have left. So the rest of the restaurant is empty. I don't know who. You know, I'm just going to leave the check here.
To the appellate court. But the point is, I think you're dealing with a judge who's going to try to give Trump a fair trial, which is why there are leftists who are saying she should recuse herself.
Yeah. No, people are saying she should recuse herself because she was appointed by Trump and she has absolutely no judicial experience when that happened. So she was put there to be a torpedo. Also, no. I believe she should recuse herself, but the fascinating part is she's gonna have to follow the law. So and by the way, Jack Smith isn't gonna bring a case that can't get past like the hardest judge in the fucking country. So watching her twist herself in knots and embarrass herself on behalf of Trump, and that if he dodges even part of this shit because he had a judge he appointed, and he'll brag about it. He'll brag that he gave her seat and she was loyal. He'll fuck it up.
Yeah. And there's even some talk about the government trying to move the venue to New Jersey because Trump lives in Bedminster.
Of course.
But this is the left again, and the very fact that the left is...
It's the left. Or there's a venue aspect of where he's actually living when the trial takes place.
Sort of shopping for...
Because he lives at a rental property like a fucking hermit.
A favorable venue here shows you that they know that in a jury of Trump's peers...
well, let's see. Epstein's dead and Cosby's touring again. And I guess we could get R. Kelly out of jail. And then Billy Bush is definitely available. How peery does this have to be? Because I feel it'll look something like if Con Air only had a bunch of Steve Buscemi's on it.
It is very unlikely that they'll get a conviction.
And this is like a referee trying to change the rules of the game after it's already been started, right? You know, it's like, oh, wait, those guys are winning. You know what?
No, it's like if one of the referees is a friend of one of the owners of one of the teams and the game hasn't started yet. Don't fucking try to throw down with analogies with me, lady. Like, I might fuck around and have a silly one now and again, but if I need to bring it, it's brought.
You know that touchdown? Well, it was interference. You can't actually win the game because, you know, this. So they.
Wait, was it actually interference? Hang on. Like, can we watch it back?
Action replays in magnified fortune.
I think that's why you gotta film it. You gotta have it televised.
They love to do that. They love to do that, which brings me to
Venezuela and communist China and how Russia's a better place.
A news article that I found.
Well,
oh dear.
This article can be described as seeking a structural remedy to the Trump type of problem. And I'll just...
A structural... Look, I am not... no, I am not for like Logan's running all second generation rich kids. I mean... If you want to talk about a structure that would have eliminated the Trump problem, I don't know, maybe he could have gone to jail for sexual assault a long fucking time ago.
Just read the headline and you can take it up from there.
Yeah, help her along.
Movement to decide presidency by popular vote gains states momentum, but also faces challenges. This is from
Great. A middle-of-the-road conversation about the Electoral College versus popular votes talk that's been around for a while, a perfunctory article that an editor said, hit that again. Some people look at it. We're going to see if there's an update on this idea because it'll matter as we start talking about the primaries. It'll give us some people to send on to MSNBC and CNN and Fox to talk about whether it's a possibility. So draft one up, Gary. Fuck, I'm in the middle. I almost caught this drug dealer, serial killer case where you've been saying that for 7 years. God damn it. Tackety, tackety, tack.
John Solomon's Just the News.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on John Solomon's Just the News. Oh, I take it back. It's that's their version of a panic attack. They sell panic attacks. This is like having a paper called Doom Scroll.
So a compact to change the Electoral College to electing a president by national popular vote is only 65 electoral votes away from taking effect. And you know that this is all about Trump and about the fact that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in 2016.
Well, it's also that I think the last 3 Republican presidents lost the popular vote. Well, it might have been the last 3 elections. Trump and Bush all lost the popular vote and still won the EC. So that's where it kind of comes from. And it's not necessarily a good thing in a constitutional republic that picks its leaders via democratic means.
And they want this to continue. They want leftist presidents. So,
well, then why did Biden win? Biden is a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. He's definitely like open-minded and he's very conscientious about stuff, but he's not fucking trying to replace the dollar with some sort of like commie crypto or some shit.
So that when the left thinks about elections, the way they think about it is
radical moderates unite. Yes.
They don't think about that there is democracy. There's an obvious definition of democracy. The founders set it up this way. The left thinks about it this way. How can we...
Oh, okay. I love when they tell us how we think, allegedly. Let's go.
Alter the rules of the game in advance.
To make sure that everyone who's playing gets a shot at the goal.
To give us the best chance of winning.
Wait. Why would we get... Why is everybody not being able to play in a game that affects them, rigging it somehow, but guaranteeing that some votes count more than others isn't?
At the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're against small states like Montana having 2 senators. Okay, good.
So think about the way they use COVID. They're like, how about if we change the rules with a lot of early voting and then we pitch for early Democratic votes? These foolish Republicans are going to want to all vote on Election Day. Well,
they didn't just want to do it. Trump told them to. They're idiots.
But we'll bank a whole bunch of votes before that.
We'll bank a bunch of votes. People actually vote early when they don't have to be next to another person during a pandemic. It's weird that we want our voters to be able to vote, I guess, at least a couple of more times in their lifetime instead of dying for us.
How about if we create these mail-in drop boxes in inner cities to make...
I don't know. That sounds expensive. I mean, what kind of a stamp would you even use on a thing like that? Is it a mail-in drop box? Are you going to have to... How do you get it in the... Obviously, if you have a small mailbox, those things are huge. I don't understand.
Make it easier for our side to vote. We won't worry about the mail-in drop boxes in rural areas because
there's 9 people and they have mailboxes. And
we don't care if those people vote or not. So
and by the way, the Postmaster General was fucking with the postal system.
So the Democrats are constantly figuring out, how do I manipulate the rules of the game? And
no, that's not manipulating the rules of the game at all. That's making the game available to everyone who is playing and in whom the outcome of the game actually affects them. Because again, when you characterize democracies as like sporting events or as like businesses, those are shallow analogies that fall apart. First of all, and this is one they're falling into right now, which is the idea that it's a game and they're playing a game and they're rigging the game. Look, everybody in the country is impacted by the final score of the game, and therefore everybody should have the right to have their proper and fair input in said game. That's not what he's talking about at all. As a matter of fact, he's talking about making sure that the vast majority of people, it's as hard for them to even get to the fucking stadium as possible. Secondly, when we're talking about it as a business, when they're like, we need a businessman running this, because business and government's like a business, and we need to run it like a business. Look, you can't fire the poor. That's it. If somebody's not being productive in a business, you can fucking fire them. You can let them go. If it doesn't work out, or they're not a good member of the team, or whatever, they have an issue of some sort that makes them unable to work, you can fire them. It's a private business. You can't do that with your citizens. You're responsible for all of them. You're responsible for the half that didn't like you and didn't vote for you as much as the ones that did, if not more so in some cases, especially if they're, in difficult areas. This goes for Democrats who are running when they have like poor rural whites who are ice skating uphill. This is the whole Bernie pitch that he made. And this has to do with like inner city and previous redlining issues and all that kind of stuff that Republicans are like, fuck these people who live in the cities. You don't get to do that. That's what a business person can do. But you can't do that with the citizens. You are responsible for actual lives on a greater scale than a business is.
That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
America was set up not to have a popular vote for a reason. What is that?
Well, because at that time, military conscription was limited to men. And so men wanted a say over the men that would send them to war. Women didn't have to be conscripted, so they didn't want to have an entire other voter base splitting the vote away from them when women don't get conscripted to go fight. That was the primary reason. Not because they're stupid, not because they're weak. They didn't, in a lot of places, inherit property or have taxes applied to them. Most of them didn't work. There's a bunch of other reasons for it, but it wasn't as cut and dry as they didn't want people to vote. Get the fuck out of here. Now we don't have that anymore. And again, today, I don't give a shit what kind of like banging rocks together, dragging people by the hair nonsense people used to do. It's 2023.
That reason. Why, it may seem obvious that, well, we have a country, we have 300 million people, we have people who are eligible to vote. Why don't we just let them vote, and whoever...
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? It's crazy. Who would even... obviously madness.
Gets the most votes wins. Well, the reason for it is we have a big country, and it's a pretty diverse country, and it's got a lot of states in it, and these states...
So what? The states have governors. States have state legislatures. They have congressional representatives that are not federal, they're not even statewide offices. They're just small districts. They have these small, little, tiny, diverse, I'm going to get stepped on states already have 2 senators, even if their population doesn't justify it. The game is already weighted in their direction.
States joined the union on the condition that, hey, listen, we want to have some representation. We're Wyoming, we're Nebraska, we're Iowa. We're not the biggest states.
You got it. You got 2 senators. Shut the fuck up. And it's 2023. I don't know
in the country. But are you basically saying that people who don't live in our state should have 100% say in how the country is ruled, and we have no say at all because they outnumber us? Okay, well, if that's the case, you go your way, we'll go our way. So the whole idea of drawing these states in was...
Yeah. You do realize there was no such thing as rubber tires during this time you're discussing. Horses pulled shit. They were still laying the first train tracks, dummy. We're not in that situation. And I'll tell you what, if somehow an asteroid hits us, or an EMP, or an alien force lands and attacks us all and sets our society back to the Bronze Age, fine. We'll start from scratch and do it the old-fashioned horse and buggy way. But right now, I'm not going to pretend we don't have the internet and that people aren't largely equal in their capacity in life to be educated or build a business or run for office or travel to Washington. Not going to pretend that like the rules about, 6 weeks to arrive in Washington still apply because they used to have to take a fucking horse.
State will have a certain amount of representation, and that's why the electoral system was set up to give.
Yeah, it doubled the senator impact. We know. Both are unfair. Currently, that makes no sense. And if you want to keep 2 senators, give up the Electoral College. That's what I would say. That's the trade.
Representation, not just to heavily concentrated population centers. And so this is what the left is trying to overturn. And it's not because they have a new understanding of citizenship. They think that, well, listen, people in Iowa can easily be represented by people in California. No, their basic idea is who cares about any of that? Who cares about the underlying reasoning of the system? Let's just go for a rule by which we win the game.
No, this is an administrative state. 1-to-1. The presidency is an administrative state, is a singular human being. In the Senate, you have double representation in a lot of these same states. California has 2 fucking senators. Wyoming has 2 senators. North Dakota has 2 fucking senators. The game is already weighted in their favor right now. It's already unfair. It's already bent to favor rural areas. And when it comes to the representing areas in the House, for example, that's a population-based idea. That's the split. That's why that vacillates and they redistrict, and it's why states move their districts around so they can maintain the certain kind of amount of it, so they can squeeze the number of people. And that's why red states tend to have these spidery-looking districts all over the friggin' place, because you have to find like 35 people to justify having another congressperson. They don't want to lose their congressperson, so they do all this like mangling of this idea, because if they just did it in one area and it was just like the district, you get one that represents 150,000 people. If you have 175,000 people and they're not going to move someplace else, that's it. Or it just takes up this amount of space and you get one for this entire area. We'll spread it over, or we'll split it between the 2, and your cities, which have power and use them as a power base for governor and state legislature, they'll get split in half. So they manipulate these things to protect that representation artificially, especially in rural states, especially in red states. In terms of the Senate, already overrepresented. Red states already overrepresented in the power of the Senate. They can shut down almost anything. The Senate acts as like a gate for all things legislative. They could shut everything down. That's why they called Mitch McConnell the Grim Reaper. But in terms of the president, in terms of the presidency, that's the administrative state. That's a single role that everybody gets a say in. There's no electoral college for the fucking Senate, because that is in effect what it is. You already get more than you're putting in. 2 senators is one of the reasons why a lot of these red states get more in federal dollars than they put in.
Yeah, so it says supporters say they don't want to abolish the Electoral College, just change how electors are picked. So by national popular vote, not by whether the Democrat or Republican presidential nominee wins the state's popular vote.
Right, but see, this is the change. Yeah. That is a radical change.
It is.
Because what happens now is, let's just say, if a candidate wins Pennsylvania, then that candidate gets Pennsylvania's electoral votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those then are channeled that way. Whereas if you won the national popular vote, let's say 60-40, then 60% of the electors would be Biden electors and 40 would be Trump electors.
It would be an automatic win.
Yeah, so the electors then just become a channel for a new way of counting.
Yes.
Again, the White House is an administrative position where every single human being in the country as a democracy should have equal access to. And all these states that are whinging about losing their electoral college power, would still maintain too much power in the Senate because they have 2 senators and they don't fucking deserve it. Or let's start talking about giving states with, let's go by the smallest state that has 2 senators. Let's do this. Smallest state that has 2 senators, and every other state gets 2 senators for that amount of people, like to their full population. So at that point, we'd have like 36 senators in California. Montana would still have 2, but like Oakland would have 2 senators. Napa Valley would have 2 senators. San Francisco would have 2 senators. San Jose would have 2 senators. Cupertino would have 2 senators. San Diego would have 2 senators. Irvine would get 2 senators. LA would have 2 senators. See how that works? The smallest state with the lowest population that has 2 senators is the most powerful state in the country, and they want to keep it that way.
So in any event, this is not something we actually want to support.
Even though Debbie reads it and it sounds kind of reasonable, that's her problem. It's like a disability.
It's taking off. So
it's taking off. This is the same shit's been around for a long time. We've like, this is an ongoing discussion. Solomon put this in there because everything's got to look like an illegal grab. The idea is that they've got to push this cheating and stealing narrative all the time, because that's the only thing that sticks with their voters right now, because they just don't like Trump the man. So they're like, oh, I mean, he's terrible, but he's got to stop these cheaters and these liars and these lying cheaters. He cheats.
You know what it is, honey? It's the Democratic states that are signing on to it.
It is. But you know what really makes me furious is
how much red states suck off of the blue states and live off their tax dollars without actually putting. No, that's not it. I'm shocked. I thought that was probably no.
They want to do this, right? And so
yes. I love to do it. Just did it, and I want to do it again.
Moon River.
Mm-hmm.
Piece of malware called Q-Snatch.
Let's just say that they get to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, they get to do this. Did everybody follow along?
Every time that we have an election, the popular candidate, which we know who the popular candidate is always going to be.
It's going to be a Democrat. We're fucking popular. I don't know what it is. I think it's our hair, really. And our happy-go-lucky attitude and our kind of laissez-faire, friendly, snappy nature. It's really gonna, I think that's the thing that does it for us, being the cool kids.
Wins, I think it's time to secede from the union.
Yeah, good luck. Move to Texas, and good luck fighting off Mexico without the American military. See ya.
Well, I mean, I
I love it.
I actually don't reject the idea of Republicans being competitive at the popular vote. Let me give a simple example. The midterm election. In the midterm election, we won the popular vote. So it's not like we can't win the popular vote. A lot of my objections to the popular vote are the massive.
Okay, by the way, they did not win the popular vote. There are strictly red districts in places like Texas and in Florida that weight that number because it's 80-20 Republican, because it's so harsh. Whereas Democrats, if we have a very blue district, it's like 60-40. Maybe 70-30 sometimes. And so the numbers pile up in that direction. That's not the case with the volume of people, though. That's why they only have, across the districts that they're talking about, we only have like a 4 vote difference.
Amounts of cheating that occur in cities like Philadelphia and in states like California.
And social media.
There are no states like California. It's fucking magic. Piss off.
The media and social media.
Yeah, the social media. When the media gets together and they hobnob.
Social media repressing.
Yeah. And push towards that candidate,
Yes, it's the media telling people, because that's the important thing. The worst thing about democracy is all these dough-headed fucks get a chance to vote for someone and somebody's just going to write in and tell them who to vote for, because people are stupid. That's the thing about Americans. Dumb as a fucking stump. That's why we're patriots. right? The mess?
Exactly.
Not
exactly.
fair.
Not fair. We're continuing.
No, it's not fair. It's just not fair. What is fair? Fairness is unfair. God damn it. 2 senators for every congressional district. Then that's kind of where the House was built on, is the idea that you get representation in that idea. But again, if you're talking about, you go by singular population, just state to state, find the smallest state with 2 senators and give every state 2 senators for every multiplier of that they have. They have 5 times the populace, they get 10 senators. It's not based on population singularly like congressional districts. It's by like overall state populism. Hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. And these dumb people. I watched the Durham stuff today, and I want to pull some of that tomorrow afternoon and show some of it because just ass. I read that report and I it's just bad. So by the way, all the Democrats, I don't think all the Republicans have read it. I think they got a summary sheet from Durham and from Jordan that of places they should hit and hammer because they all say the same thing. But Democrats are hitting it from all sides. They've gone through the fucking thing. They're addressing a lot of what's not in it as well, which means they checked. They read the whole thing and they went, does this reference anything that he brings up? Why did he exclude this element? Super good. So we'll see that tomorrow. And until then, I want to remind you that there's I get around with it. I'm kidding. You guys are great. Thanks very much for everybody. Don't forget to like it and hit a thumbs up on the way out. And don't break your ass, whatever you do. Moon River. It's not a good thing. Word. Now I get to try and put these sound effects in here. Do a little push. Let's see.
Graciela, boom.
I think people saw that loud and clear. De-engineering in his sock drawer. Action replays in magnified fortune. Even brought a safe practice.